Hey everyone, welcome to Community Conversations, an AI-generated podcast. I'm one of your two AI hosts, and today we're talking about the proposed development project at 4868 North Canoga Avenue, or the Woodland Hills Country Club site.
And I'm your other AI host. This week's email update covers a lot of ground, and maybe you skimmed it and thought, I'll come back to that later. Fair enough, but this one really matters. It's not just paperwork moving from one desk to another. It changes where this proposed project stands right now.
Exactly. The big news is the Woodland Hills Landwise Alliance has received and shared with the neighbors a follow-up letter to the developers. This letter was sent on February 17th by the Department of City Planning, and the official project status is now application deemed incomplete, inconsistent, and non-compliant. Processing is on hold. That's a pretty serious shift.
Yeah, if you're wondering what that actually means, the Woodland Hills Neighborhood Collective included a link in their email to a 2-page, plain language summary with the key points that matter most to the community.
Right. To keep our conversation going, the key point in the letter is that Fast Track Pathway is not available to this project as filed.
That fast track question is a huge one for neighbors because it affects how much review happens and how much room there is to really look at the impacts. This means the conversation around this project may be very different than it would have been if it stayed on that streamlined path.
And if you've been following these updates already, this letter is important because it gives the community something concrete. It's not just rumor, not just what ifs, not just, I heard from somebody who heard from somebody. It's city planning in writing, saying the application as submitted has real issues and that processing is on hold.
So if you've been feeling like this whole thing is hard to track, you're not alone.
From a neighbor's point of view, people here have been worried for ages that a large-scale development could pile more pressure onto infrastructure that already feels stretched. Evacuation is the obvious one. You chuck hundreds of units into the mix and, well, roads don't magically get wider because we wish really hard.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about congestion like it's a quality of life annoyance, sitting at a light, running late, muttering into your coffee. But in this community, people are also thinking about emergency scenarios. They're thinking about what happens during a fire or another major emergency if evacuation routes are already strained.
That's the heart of it. The concern is wildfire safety, evacuation capacity, and whether the existing road network could handle that kind of stress. Neighbors have been saying for a long time that these risks need to be fully addressed, not nodded at, not glossed over, properly addressed. Because if roads get overwhelmed in an emergency, that's not a theoretical planning debate, that's people's lives.
And I think it's important to say this in a grounded way. These concerns aren't coming from nowhere, and they're not just about being resistant to change. People want due diligence. They want safety, environmental issues, traffic impacts, and infrastructure capacity taken seriously, especially in a place where fire risk is already part of the lived reality.
Yeah, the neighbors are really asking for responsible development. So what should neighbors be doing now? First up, keep reading the email updates. I know. Inboxes are a circus, but those emails are where the useful stuff lives right now. Status changes, event details, links, next steps.
And keep staying involved as the political landscape shifts. Councilmember Bob Blumenfield's term ends in December 2026, which means a new council member for District 3 will eventually be handling this proposed development. So this year's election cycle really matters. The primary and general elections for Council District 3 are this year in June and November, and the ballot includes Tim K. Gaspar, Barry Worth Gervin, and Christopher Robert, or C.R. Salona.
That's why engaging early is so important. Now that the city announced the qualified candidates for the ballot earlier this month, neighbors have a chance, right now, not later, to share concerns and ask where these candidates stand on policies and their vision for how they, as the council member, would support the community.
And the community has already shown it can have an impact. We have more than 3,400 signatures on our petition, more than 167 online public comments on the first motion put forward by City Council member Bob Blumenfield, and more than 299 online comments on the second motion. The governor's office engagement brought in more than 200 neighbors contacting their representatives. During the letter writing campaign, neighbors also spread the word across social media, which helped bring in letters from Topanga, Tarzana, West Hills, and Hidden Hills too.
Which is a big reminder that Woodland Hills isn't alone in this. The hope is to keep seeing that collective voice from communities with very high severity fire hazard zones. Looking at city maps, 15 Los Angeles City Council districts exist, and 12 of those 15 have very high severity fire hazard zones. Another one has moderate severity fire hazard zones. So these concerns reach well beyond one neighborhood pocket.
And here in the San Fernando Valley, there are 13 impacted neighborhood council districts: Woodland Hills Warner Center, plus Sylmar, Granada Hills, North Porter Ranch, Chatsworth, West Hills, Tarzana, Encino, Sherman Oaks, Studio City, Greater Toluca Lake, Foothill Trails District, Sunland Tujunga, and the Sun Valley area. That's a lot of Angelinos who may be paying attention to what happens next.
Now, the good news is there are concrete ways to engage right away. For the District 3 primary in June, 2 candidate forums are already scheduled, and more may be added. One is a virtual forum on Zoom on March 25th at 7:30 p.m., hosted by the Woodland Hills Homeowners Organization. The other is an in-person event on April 14th at 5:30 p.m. at Westfield Rose Goldwater Community Center. The community center's address is 21710 Van Owen Street, Canoga Park.
The email from the Woodland Hills Neighborhood Collective that connected you to this podcast has the registration links for both events. Showing up matters. Listening matters. Asking a clear question matters. Hearing candidates directly, in real time, and in their own words matters, especially when decisions about safety, infrastructure, and growth may end up on their desks.
So if you're wondering what difference one person makes, think of it like this. One person reads the update. One person joins a forum. One person asks a sharp question. And suddenly the whole conversation gets harder to wave away.
Exactly. Stay engaged, read the updates, and if you can, attend one of the forums. That's the work right now.
Thanks for spending a few minutes listening. If this was helpful, please reply, "Make another podcast" to the email you got from the Woodland Hills Neighborhood Collective.
Thanks, Maya. And thanks, everyone. We'll talk with you again soon. Bye for now.